I think we've got to bear in mind with Freud is that he was writing in the late 1800s, early 1900s. His concept of the unconscious was completely brand new, and because of that, well, I say brand new, I mean to the Western mind, right? Because of that, and because of the way he approached that, he was left in um, well, sort of an outcast really from the medical community who were looking for definite pathology, and particularly Charcot, who he learned from in the Salpêtrière in France, in Paris, who was a neurologist, right? A neurologist who was pretty shit hot on things, really. Charcot discovered or classified, for want of a better term, ALS, Parkinson's, various different neuropathies, apraxia, some aphasia. Like, this is a guy who was doing the work. And Freud went to go and study under him. They ultimately split because Charcot was anti Semitic, which was problematic for Freud and problematic for the world. And so when we come to look at where Freud comes to the idea of psychoanalysis, he comes from a great tradition of mesmerism, hypnosis, exorcisms, right? 17, 1800s. Charcot was using those sorts of ideas from the animal magnetism movement and big stage hypnosis to help people with what we would now call functional neurological disorders, but then was called hysteria. And so I think we've got to bear all of that in mind, that Freud was really going against the grain. This was not something easy for him, and certainly not something easy to come to terms with. It's also worth bearing in mind that Freud, in his own right, was a very, very good neurologist. I sort of thought he was a bit of a hack, to be honest, before I started studying him. I sort of had this concept that he was, on some level, a shit neurologist, and so then went to discover psychoanalysis to sort of complete it. So anyway, he was a good neurologist. He went to study with Charcot, who he ultimately split from in Paris because of his differences in views. Can you hear that? Coffee machine's ready.